All right, we're live. It says we're live. All right, hang on a second here. Black. Ah, hi, everyone. Welcome back. It's never a dull moment. Alrighty then, everybody. It is the 20th of June, and summer begins this evening. And we get a full moon, and we get all kinds of heat waves, and wind, and rain, and torrential stuff. I was talking to Susan yesterday because she came through a bunch of stuff, and I said, I think that the world is bipolar. And then I burst out laughing because it is. But she said, "Oh my God." And we were talking about something to do with plants. She met somebody who's a plant person. And apparently, next to everything that is poisonous is something to correct the poison. And that was where I said, "Oh, bipolar." And so I guess if there's poison ivy, the plant growing right next to it is the thing you can use for the salve to red. I didn't know that. So this is probably another reason why it's good that I tend not to go for walks off into the middle of nowhere. But I digress. Today is a very interesting day in that we are going through a seasonal shift that the plants, speaking of summer and growing patterns and all that, and harvesting, that the plants are aware of and the earth is aware of. And if we, lift our heads up out of our laptops and cell phones and look around and put down the video game remote, we notice that there are things that are different, and we chalk it up to whatever recent thing we've been talking about. And every so often, it's really good to stop and look at what we see happening. I had a very interesting exchange this morning. I was on Facebook here now for 13 more minutes before work. All right. Good morning, Adrian. 13 more minutes. Here's the thing today. What we are talking about is, why do we trust complete and random strangers so fast? And the answer is hidden within this talk today. And while it seems like we are being naive, I think there is another survival mechanism at work. And that's what I'm going to talk about. So at work or after work, check in, Adrian, and see what it is that I develop, because I can't do it in, 3 quick seconds here. So the conversation I had with somebody who I admire and respect, when they were talking about when their dad was alive and doing things, the world was a different place. And I had almost that exact conversation last night with my friend Billy. And we were talking about some technical glitches that I have come across that he's going to fix for me next week. And he was saying, "Have you noticed that there are cycles?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Do you realize that when you look at what has happened to us in the last 20 years, if you look back not that far, we went through similar things. And out of one thing came another, and out of another came another. And there have been terrible things, and there have been very good things that emerged out of the terrible things." And I said, because it just fell out of my head, I wonder what the people who show up to save the day would do every day if there were no days to save, if nothing was wrong, if everyone was fine, if there were no people with ulterior motives and axes to grind. Who what would they do, these heroes who are selfless and brave and courageous and dedicated and committed to make it okay? What would they do instead? Who would they have become if there wasn't a battle for them to fight on our behalf? And he said, "Oh, that's an interesting conversation." I said, I'm not saying that it needs to be bad in order to have good. I'm just saying that if good rises out of bad, if nothing bad happens, what does good do? Go bowling? And the conversation pretty much tanked after that. So what I'm always looking at, because of how I was raised as a child who never knew where or when we would be moving on, is that I became very adept at pattern recognition. I wanted to try and figure out, how could I predict what might happen sooner than later, so that I would not always be behind the eight ball, always trying to catch up, always having to compensate, always making do with what I had. Could I get ahead of that at all? And is there a downside to the way I was raised? Sure, sure. I tend to prefer to work alone. So this conversation about why we trust so fast. Um, I was in a very long and complicated and highly confusing meeting on Monday, and it was not the ultimate, but certainly one of the penultimate meetings, all a piece of everything that happened since September 2022, when my dear, sweet, wonderful friend Dave got so horribly sick. And every single time I turned around, I had to place my trust in someone who said, I am the expert in this. And all I can all I can say is that I thank the gods that the people who proved their trustworthiness were the doctors, were the people who made Dave's quality of life better for as long as they did. And I don't know how that would have turned out if the indifference and incompetence and slackardliness I saw in the aftermath over and over and over again had been present in the healthcare system. I don't know how I would have coped. I can't imagine, because I barely coped in the aftermath. And it continued on Monday, and it was predicated on people trusting, assuming that they didn't have to do the introduction to work, because of course I would already know it, except that I just got here, folks, and I have no idea what this is about. And maybe we could start at the beginning and walk me through it like I'm an idiot. Let's do that, shall we? And because everybody kept making assumptions that of course I would know this, and of course I would know that, and of course I would know the other. And I kept saying, excuse me, how would I know that? Why would you assume? What on earth made you think I would have the slightest idea? All the pieces of paper that you have that have my Ontario address on them, why would you think I understand the laws in another province? What would make you think that? And the thing is that they didn't think it. They just simply trusted that it would make itself clear. They just assumed it would be clear if we all stood there in front of it. And okay, then. The words on the page are going to climb off the page and explain themselves to me. Does that happen often to you? And it's unhelpful when I do that, because then I upset people. They're not on my side anymore, if they ever were. So in these short moments, when we have a brief opportunity to see and hear and process what people are saying and doing, we're not doing it. And because we're not doing it, the fallout is all sorts of confusion, delays, missed communication, hurt feelings. What did you mean by that? What do you mean? What did I mean by that? What do you mean by that? That accomplishes nothing. It's like spinning your wheels in mud, right? So the conversation that I initiated on Tuesday was talking about trust itself, and what we mean by it, and what the actual true definition of trust is, which is not an emotional thing. We have applied emotion to it. We have applied the incorrect emotion to it. I trusted you and you failed me. Okay, so that's all on you. Unless you have one of these people who says you can trust me. And I always say, Why? How can I trust you? Well, because what do you mean by because I'm, and then they get all upset, but I don't know why I can trust them. Explain to me, and perhaps I will agree. And so, because there is this quick assumption, when I was doing the definition of trust, and by the way, if you missed Tuesday, the definition of trust, actual definition of trust is our ability, not theirs, our ability to reliably predict behavior. If a person 9 times out of 10 lies when they open their mouth, the chances are good you can count on them doing it again. Why? Pattern recognition. It's how they cope. It's how they navigate the world. How do we know? Watch and learn. 9 times out of 10, really? Then reliably, predictably, the chances are good they will lie again. Well, why are they lying to me? They're not lying to you. They're lying. You just happen to be the one standing in front of them in the moment. So if we understand that definition of trust, that changes a lot. But why do we get upset? Well, we get upset because we wanted it to be true. We wanted them to be keen and eager and reliably, predictably concerned for us, wanting to take care of us. Why would they? They don't have enough to do taking care of them. I want somebody to look after me. Okay, but first you have to look after you. You have to teach people how looking after you looks, what it is that you define as looking after you. You can't just say, and then someday my prince will come and we will be married and we will live happily ever after. What? Happily after what? Lunch? This stuff doesn't just fling itself to a wall and stick there. Good morning, Freddie. It has to be flung. Trust and love and commitment aren't self-flinging. They are learned behavior. What a strange morning. So that was essentially the conversation I had with you on Tuesday. If we take the emotion out of it and we say trust is our ability to reliably predict behavior based on previous observation and experience, is there emotion? Sure there is, because we can be wrong. It's reliably predict. It doesn't mean 100%. People can blindside us. We can blindside ourselves. What we want to have happen is whatever it takes to allow us to feel safe, that enables, empowers us to feel that, okay, we got this. This is the cave. This is where I belong. I am part of this tribe. And this is how people like us do things like this. Okay. So we want everything to be that way all the time. The fact is that it isn't, because on the outside of the cave, there are saber-toothed whatnots who are raising their families and they need lunch. And they're waiting for us to come out and say, hi, I'm Sushi. I'm DoorDash. And so every single organism needs fuel and needs safety and needs the ability to grow and thrive. And sometimes the paths cross and somebody wins and somebody loses. All of that is how we live. Trust is our ability to remember what worked and what didn't and act accordingly so that we survive and thrive. Which brings us to today. Why are we in such a hurry to trust? Why are we so eager to give our power to assess away? Why are we opening windows and flinging out our control? Why are we doing that? If what we want is to feel safe, why are we giving our own strength and ability to do that to random strangers? The description that I made is, why do we keep giving up our driver's seat? It's our bus. The bus is called us. I got a bus, you got a bus. Some random fool walks by and you say, hey, you know how to drive a bus? And the person says, yes. How do you know? They're selling you a real thing. Do they have a bus driver's license? Do you ask to see it? Do you ask them why are they walking if they can drive a bus? No. You say, oh, thank God. Okay, here, you get in, you take over, and I'll sit back and enjoy the scenery. That sounds crazy, right? But we're doing it all the time, every day, every day. Well, I thought, I mean, it said 11 fluid ounces. Did the jar not feel a little light? Yeah, I thought so. Well, then it was either packed wrong or there's a leak in it or somebody maybe shorted the shipment. Really? Come in out of the sun, dear. Come in out of the sun. You need to wear a hat in the sun. If we are so, which way are you growing, vertical or horizontal, mentally or physically? Oh, Adrian, there's actually a door number 3. We don't grow this way or this way. We grow this way. And one is the product of the other is the product of the other. Because if you expand an image and you only go this way or you only go this way, you get a distorted image. It has to grow all of a piece. Door number 3. So when we are deciding to give the power away, and I was reminded of a couple of things all at the same time. Conversation I used to have with my grandmother, who was very British, and she would say, yes, but who are his people? And I used to think that was horribly snobby and horribly exclusionary. But I realized what she was asking was she wanted context. When it's all very well and fine when this young man says, don't you worry, I'll have your daughter home by curfew. I need to know who his people are. I need to know his backstory, his trajectory, his proof of concept. My father did it differently. My 6'5" Viking dad, when some poor benighted young man would come to the door and say, oh, sir, I'm here to take your daughter to the movies, my father would open the door, and before that poor boy could open his mouth and say anything, my father would say, I'm Colonel Haggard. What are your intentions toward my daughter? And he wouldn't smile. He'd just stand there looking terrified. Viking. And this poor boy. Humming. And so, and I would say to him, Daddy, why do you do that? And he said, he who is first on the field owns the enemy's side of the battle. I'm seeding the ground. I said, with what? Fear? Yes. Okay. If we do not know why they are here, if we do not know what their backstory is, if we do not know what their big picture, if any, of this moment might be, if we do not know their Witham song, what's in it for me, if we do not know any of that, how can we put our complete and utter faith in the concept, the very idea that they will automatically, telepathically know what we need and want and do it in the way we need and want it, spontaneously? That sounds unhinged, doesn't it? And yet we do it all the time. So if it's really radically unhinged, and it is, there's got to be another reason we're doing it. We can't be doing it that blindly and naively, completely. There has to be something else under it. And I don't mean skulking in the shadows. I just mean an underpinning, like an onion, right? So the first illustration I gave you, I have a couple of stories I said. One is my grandmother and the other is my father on who are his people and what are your intentions and all that kind of thing. The other story that I have that is remarkable for me. One of the many books that I was hired to midwife, and midwifing a book. Andre Gould used that expression, and I just love it. It's not my book, it's not my baby, but the person having it doesn't know how to have it leave here and end up there without somebody like me navigating them through the process. So it's like a cross between a midwife, because I'm not birthing their idea. I'm birthing the format and the process by which other people will be able to see, interact with, learn from, enjoy this idea of theirs, this story of theirs, this baby of theirs. So I am giving them a passageway, and I'm showing them where the shoals are, and I'm showing them where the saber-tooth whatnots are, and I'm getting them to a place to the other side where now they can call themselves an author, and they can do what they want to do because it has been brought with them and to them to the start of the next chapter of their lives. It's very exciting. It's really rewarding. And when I was working with these two brilliant therapists, Audrey is the one who called me a midwife, and the other therapist had this really groundbreaking concept, defining addiction and defining the kinds of personalities that swim into, become enmeshed in addictive behaviors, and why. It's a very interesting book, very interesting concepts, very interesting analysis of the kinds of people and their coping mechanisms. Now, this is not to be confused with all these tests that you take, Myers-Briggs and whatever, whether you're an A-type or whether you're a Leo, none of that. This is coping mechanism. And one of the behaviors he identified that is language used in psychology is that there is a personality type that controls from the one down position. And what that means in ordinary language is that they don't control other people by being strong and by clearly taking the lead. They control from a place of apparent helplessness. They control from a place of, you're so strong, and of course you went to college, and I just don't know. In fact, in the brilliant work called Streetcar Named Desire, Blanche Dubois, the character Blanche Dubois, famously described herself by saying, "I have always had to rely on the kindness of others." And what that did throughout her life was trigger the white knight in people who had this deep desire to ride to someone's rescue. So that behavior is called control from the one down position. They present themselves as helpless. They present themselves as not equipped and needing to be saved and looking for a white knight who will understand them and rescue them. And what that does for them is it allows them to direct, instruct, advise. And then when the person doesn't do it to their satisfaction, they get to complain in a way that doesn't look or sound like complaining. They get to say, I'm sure you did your best. It just, I don't know. I guess I thought that if you really loved me, and then the person who has this need to fix and help tries doubly hard to do it. even though they're not necessarily qualified. Now, if that is what is going on without us realizing it, then what is happening is, I don't have one in here. No, I don't. Let's pretend this is a remote. Let's pretend this is not my phone. Here's my flamingo on my flamingo in the cover. Look at this. Look at this. Let's pretend this is a remote. And if I want to watch a program, I don't have to get in the car and go to the studio and watch them produce it. I don't have to get in the car and go to the library and buy a book or sit with the writer as they write it. I can just pick up the remote and go boop. And on whatever technology that I have, the story comes to me. And if I don't like it, I can change the volume. I can raise it or lower it. And I don't have to get up and go and do it. I am able to sit back and automatically control from a distance, from the comfort of my chair, without engaging. I am able at one and the same time to be activator and spectator without getting my hands dirty or having to change out of my cute shoes. Sound familiar? Feel kind of, yeah, maybe. Interesting to think about. Because if that is what we are doing back here, then trusting people so quickly, so soon, so completely isn't an act of madness giving away our control. Then it is allowing us, it is us hiring surrogates. It is us hiring messengers to deliver the messages and bring the messages for us and to us and from us. It is us hiring a car, a guy, to go get our food for us and bring it from the restaurant instead of us going to the restaurant or going to and getting it and bringing it home. It is us controlling from the one down position by remote. So we don't have to be involved. If that is the case, I present to you, I'm about to sound like Rod Serling. I present to you a scenario in which that goes off the rails. And then who do we blame? When we say we want pizza and we get lasagna, when we say we want pizza and we get salad, when we say we want it hot and fresh and it comes cold and stale, who do we blame? Well, they should have. I got it right too. Really? Or if you just got up off the couch, put on your pants and went there and watched them do it, all of those delays and complaints and disappointments could be avoided. But where's the control in that? The control is that you're right there in front and you are engaged in the process. You're not a spectator. You are a participant. You're not an activator. You are a doer. And therefore, the success is yours to own. The failure is also yours to own. However, failure is merely a lesson, an opportunity to practice to get it even gooder the next time. I said gooder yesterday on the phone, and Susan said, I'm sorry, did you just say, what did you just say? I said, I know. It's a pattern interrupt. She said, holy cow. Yes, it is. So why are we in such a rush to give our power away? What if we didn't want this power? We were happier with that power because we did not have to make as big an effort. Yeah, well, my dad used to say when I was being a reluctant dragon. Everyone makes an effort. All the time. Every day. You are no exception. And then whatever it was I wasn't doing, get up and do it. Yes, Daddy. So the thing I want to talk about that is part and parcel of this conversation, which is taking me and us and Pivotry in Motion to a new place very soon. Exciting. Is this. If we do not demand ownership, we lose it. And once it's gone, it is really difficult to get it back. It is more work and more trouble to get it back than to keep it. It's the same conversation about customers and business and friendships, relationships and loyalties and commitments. If we say we commit, and we do, and it takes work. It takes a decision to cooperate, collaborate, communicate, compromise, keep checking in to make sure that we're both facing in compatible ways. If we give that away, we don't get to say, that's not what I wanted. We don't get to say that. From the one down position, we can say, I thought I trusted you. I felt that you, yeah, okay. And you can, sit there and wave your fan and flutter all you want. You still don't have control of it. You are still at the mercy of whatever whim and random wind that comes along and picks it up and takes it away. If you give it away, it's gone. And this is true in every aspect of life, all the time. It's an interesting story about fame. And I have this conversation so often that it frames every conversation I have with a client, every conversation that I have with, when I do workshops and I go in and I do trainings, and when I explain to people, you are here and there is where you want to go, but look what's in the way, right? As soon as I can set up these contexts so people say, oh, what? Oh. As soon as I do that, I have people's undivided attention. But if people aren't paying attention, they don't realize that their quality of life is just drifting away. And then they can't get it back without a great deal of work. So my conversation is this. If you're happy and you know it, if you're not happy, why not? What happened? What isn't working? Oh, it's not that bad? Yeah, it is. Sure it is. You're saying, no, it's fine, really. The number of people who say, they do this and say, no, it's fine, really. Then why are you shaking your head no? And why are you tilting your head and putting one shoulder down in a submissive pose? Why are you giving your power away? What did you think that was going to give you? Less than you deserve is what it's going to give you. Not that you have to be a world beater. Not everybody is the Viking at the head of the boat. Lots of people are the Vikings who stayed home, to mow the cat and milk the chickens and do whatever it is that people do on a farm. And mow the cat. I just for a moment pictured the cat. Sorry. We can be the quiet ones. We can be the people who are very happy and very fulfilled with like a doula. Exactly, Freddie, like a doula. When We are quiet people, and we like a small, steady job that is something that we take quiet pride in. And we like the reliability of it starts here and it ends here, and I have this much time, and I like to do this, and in my private time, I like to do that. All the children of the world are a little different, and it's our differences that create the magic. However it is that you feel that sense of that deep, deep whatever it is that brings that to you, however small or large it is exactly right. It is exactly what we deserve. Why would we give that away? And if we had to give that away because we had limited options in a crisis moment, why would we not do our best to get it back? Not exactly the way it was before, but in a way that gives us that back. Why would we not seek that? Survival is one thing, but thriving is why we're here. Mollusks survive. Why are we going to college? Why are we putting clothes on? And listen, I for one am truly grateful that there are clothing to put on to cover things. I am very grateful on behalf of myself and everybody. But if all we're doing is surviving, why aren't we just putting heavy things on in the cold and light things on in the heat and waterproof things on when it's wet? Why are we looking for color and nuance and shape and style? And forget fad. What we're talking about is a desire to have more than basic survival, to have something to be excited about. Why would we give away our ability to experience the gratification and the feel good that I did it? I did it. Holy doodles, I did it. Why would we give that away? Why would we say, oh, I don't know, I just want to see what's on. I can't miss. I'm just going to scroll and see what I what? It's sorry. Oh, why would we live that life? Why would we live that pale, tepid, diluted, not diluted, diluted kind of existence when we can have real life, real existence, real growth, real satisfaction, real gratification, excitement, passion? Why would we give all of that away? I can't be bothered. Why not? I'm not hungry. Okay, then let's take all your food and all your stuff and let's go give it to people who would give their right arm to have a tenth of what you have and can't be bothered with. Let's redistribute that. People whining and kvetching and carrying, driving past homeless people. Okay, you have a job, you have a family, you have a healthy life, you have a vehicle, you have found a safe space to live. When you see someone who does not, I'm not suggesting that you get out of the car, hand them the keys, and take the clothes off your back and say, here, take my life, live my life, I will live yours. I'm not suggesting that. I'm saying that when you see them, perhaps you could be a little less sorry for yourself. When you see them, perhaps you could be a little less complacent, a little less, I don't know, because that's an alternative when people gave up, when things were taken from them that they've tried to fight for and couldn't. When a system is broken and they end up in that situation, we should look at that and say, oh my God, how lucky am I? How grateful am I? And we can get up and do the things we need to do to be validating and honoring the path we're on, to qualify for this good fortune that we have, to earn this good fortune again tomorrow and the day after. Why are we so ready to give it away, to trust that some random person will do it? I saw really it was an ironic post, and I really love the guy who posted it. I'm not going to give away any serious details, but there was an issue where he lives, and he called an expert who said, we have to come in and we're going to be doing this, and so you need to get everything and get it under wraps and protect it, because we're going to have to come in and basically do something invasive. And so he did everything. He did everything he possibly could. Took him hours and hours and hours to do everything. And when they came in, their definition of invasive was that in half a dozen places where he lives, they put something that has a time to release effect. That's it. Then they left. They were there for, I don't know, an hour. He did all this work. And he's like, because does he do all that work all the time? No. No, he's like me. You say, you know what? I'll get to that tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes. So he did it. He stepped up, by golly, and he was amazing. He did. He was saying, there, okay, everything's everything was okay. So, but I was reading it and I laughed because I thought, oh yeah, when I see it, I'm going to say, so how was that day? And he's going to give me a look, right? A look. Here's the thing. He was galvanized. He was cattle prodded into doing something to honor and respect and protect the things he values. He didn't sit there and say, whatever, we could ruin this and this could happen and this could break. Yeah, whatever. I don't care. He could have done that. He didn't do that. He stepped up. He stepped up and he stepped in and he took care of it. And it turns out that his understanding of invasive was maybe not quite the same as theirs. But that's okay. He doesn't have to do any of that work for ages now. He can take the day, week, year off. The thing is, I'm fairly famous in the tiny corner of the world where I'm known for, mom, at not being really good at domestic stuff. I have shoes. I have ridiculous shoes instead of mops and oh, I've got 6 different ways to clean the floor. Have you heard of this? And so I'm not what you'd call domestic. However, I'm very proud of, and I truly love the joy and the peace and the serenity and the beauty of my surroundings. And because I do, because I care, and because I'm grateful, I am taking very special care of it. Because how fortunate am I to find myself here? How beautiful is it? And do I deserve it? Yes, I do. I believe that I do. I believe I've earned it, and I believe it's overdue. And now I get to enjoy it. If I get to enjoy it, the onus is on me to take care of it. Not to say, I need somebody to come in and do this and this and this. It's 1,100 square feet. What else am I doing? And I think that in our rush to save time, it's a real time saver, we are giving away quality. We are giving away control. We are giving away the pride of creativity and productivity. We are giving away our role. I have frequent conversations with people about the values and the assets that we derive with technology. And certainly I am grateful for it. How else would I be doing this conversation with you? The rush to adopt, adapt, and apply every new bit of technology right now, immediately, today, without discovering what it does and what the side effects are. Why are we doing that? I know that it's instant gratification, and I know that there's a dopamine effect. I get all of that. However, we are intelligent people. What is it that we are in such a rush to give it away for? How busy are we? How exhausted and overwhelmed are we that we need so much more free time to rest and recharge and get back in the game? Because all this extra time that we have to rest and recharge, we're not resting and recharging. We're using it on something else. We're on the phone. We're watching a video. We're binge watching. And I'm an artist. Entertainment is one of the products and services I provide. I'm very grateful for an audience. However, if all they do is watch show after clip after clip, their minds aren't fresh and they can't remember what they saw 10 minutes ago. How can anything I create be memorable for them if they're oversaturated, if they're overstimulated? This conversation that I have over and over about the breaking waves. Whoosh, recede. No, I want it to come again. It will. Yeah, but I want it now. Okay, no. It has to go away to come back. Why? When you decide you want to understand it, it will be made clear to you. Isn't that fair? So there is a childlike discomfort, dissatisfaction, crankiness, self-absorption that we are gradually leaning into more and more and more as we no longer connect with other people. I've gone on and on about how exhausting Monday was. It was a wonderful lesson. And there were incredible things that happened in that exhausting day. Really great, memorable, lovely moments that would not have happened if I hadn't gone through that day. My everyday heroes who saved the day that day, I would not have experienced if I had not gone through that day. That day. It was always going to be a Monday. It just didn't necessarily have to be that Monday, that day doing those things. But having done those things, all these other gifts came. In bringing in the people to clear up whatever was wrong in his place, that was a hell of a day that friend of mine went through. However, look what it got him, other than, all the sore muscles. It got him, you know what? And it's a great story. All that I'm asking today is, why are we in such a rush to give it away? There are 24 hours in a day. We sleep some of them. We spend some of those hours doing essential things, like getting up and brushing our teeth and washing things and making food and eating it, cleaning that, and getting in the car and going to the place we need to go in order to do the thing we do. There's that. But then when you get rid of all of that admin work, there's the stuff that makes up our life. I created this for my clients at the beginning of every project I give them. It's called the Now What Scheduler. And the reason I called it that is because every time we have a new idea that we want to add to our plate, we have to re-examine our 24 hours, because we use up our 24 hours every day. Every day. There's never at the end of the day, oh, look, I got 3 hours left. Can I apply it to tomorrow? No. It's gone. Okay. So how are we applying our time? If we And I'm not saying we don't use technology. I'm not saying we have to make every meal from scratch. I'm not saying we don't use the time-saving devices. I'm not saying that. I'm not suggesting that we put the dirty clothes into a bag and we walk down to the river and use a rock to clean the clothes. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that we have a washer and dryer. We now don't have to invest the time to go down to the river with the rock and clean it and drag it all back, lay it out in the sun to dry. We have that free time to apply to something else. What's the something else? We have dishwashers, we have clothing washers and dryers, we have elevators, we have cars, we have technology devices to communicate and learn and educate and connect. Brilliant. Saving all our time. Brilliant. What are we doing with the time? Why are we in such a rush to give our power and our responsibility to be the one rowing the boat with all my fellow Vikings? If I'm not rowing the boat, what am I doing? It's not a cruise. Have you seen the commercial for Viking River cruises? See the world differently. Explore beautiful cities and famous landmarks up close. Yeah, we invented boats that go up rivers and surprise the living crap out of people who didn't think we could. Shit. If we're not rowing a boat intent to go someplace to achieve a thing that matters to us, if we don't need to do that, if we can just push a button and we are there, beam me up, Scotty. Okay, then what are we doing with all the time that benefits us, that teaches us something, that not only allows us to survive, but thrive? What are we doing? What are we saying? This is mine. I made it. I'm proud of it. Would you like one? May I spend time with you? Are we doing that? If we are doing that, brilliant. If we're not, then the question is, why are we so eager to trust and entrust our stuff, our things, our life, our quality to random other? When I drove for 1,100 hours this way and that way to go to the meeting on Monday, the person I had previously spoken to said, "Do you want to do this virtually?" And I said, no, this is a big deal. This is a very big deal for me. And I want to do it face to face and shake the hand of the person who is making it happen with me. After that, after I know the person, I decide that they feel like they got this, then I can do it virtually. But why would I trust a completely random set of strangers to get it right? Voice on the other end of the phone. Wow, I never thought of it that way. What a quiet and safe and uneventful life you must have lived. So this is my message today is this. The reason I'm doing the Pivotry project is that people have trusted too much, too often, and given away too much of themselves too often. And when it has not worked, and it has scared them because it has not worked, they need someone to blame. And it hasn't occurred to them that it's us. It hasn't occurred to people that we started the balls rolling. It's not that it's up to us to fix it. It's that we played a role in generating it in the first place. And therefore, before we say, we need to say and get involved in the solution for the greater good, not the selfish good. Because what's in it for me is quality of life, not greed. What's in it for me is quality, longevity, and peace of mind. And I can only have that if you have it, because we are in this together. So the question isn't, should I trust? It's, when do I trust? And what are the little check boxes that I go through to decide that I'm ready to trust? And have I examined what the outcomes could be? Once I know what the outcomes could be, the next question is, am I ready? If I have all the correct answers to those questions, carry on, trust away, and keep a spare bag packed just in case. Okay, it turned out to be a bit of a rant, and I didn't actually mean it to be a rant. What I want you to understand, and I want you to be excited about on your terms, in your time, is that the Pivotry in Motion concept and project is me generating an opportunity for people to do reliable, safe, and exciting resets, to rediscover their magic, to redefine their boundaries, and to reconnect with people who get them excited and give them opportunities to participate, collaborate, connect, and grow and thrive. I'm planting these seeds. I'm creating this garden. I'm developing this platform, these frameworks, these tools. And what is my role in this? What's in it for you? What's in it for me is that, the mom costume is not a thing I'm going to wear anymore. But how you feel about Abby Mom doesn't have to just sit in this room on a mannequin behind me. How you feel about Abby Mom and how you felt when you watched that show when you were going through your tough young years lives on. I haven't changed. The only difference is I'm the one writing the script now. And that's never dull. So I want you to just think about that and realize that I am looking for all the ways that I can to make this viable and doable and shareable and participatable, no matter where we are and no matter what our circumstances are. There's going to be something in it for everyone who needs it. Because a lot of things happen to us in life, a lot of situations, a lot of events, and they don't come with instructions. And we have no idea where the toolbox is. So I'm fixing that. I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it for the inner child in me who had to navigate with no instructions or toolbox that she could find. And because I know what a challenge that was, I want to participate in the challenge with you because I'm Abby Mom. Vikings were navigators and storytellers first. Unless you piss them off. All right, with that said, the weekend is soon upon us. It is the beginning of a new season. It is the summer equinox. There's a full moon. There's weather. There's all kinds of stuff. And in the midst of all of that, there is time to be good to you because you deserve it. There is time to hug your loved ones because they deserve it too. There is time to say, I want to sink my teeth into something that is delicious because I deserve it, because I am worth it. And that's important. And you don't want to give that freedom and power away. I promise you. All right. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next Tuesday. Thank you so much for watching.